Hi, this is JF. Welcome to the technical update for CSIA for 2026. I've been on the job for 2 weeks, and we've been working with the technical committee, with the tech, with this presentation. It's going to evolve with your feedback over the course of the season. And you'll see there's a lot of international skiers in this presentation. Eventually, we're going to shoot some Canadian skiers, and this presentation will become more and more Canadian over time. So let's get to it. The focus for the season to come is on quality, consistency, and standards. Basically, this presentation will highlight the fundamentals. If you look in the dictionary, fundamental is creating a common understanding and consistent messaging. All 5 skills are intertwined. We're highlighting some key fundamentals per skill. Let's start with balance movement fundamentals. The first one would be athletic balance. So basically, we describe athletic balance with a gentle flex at ankle, knee, and hip, shin contact, not shin pressure, spine and shin at a similar angle, arm carriage is relaxed, yet discipline, hands apart, ahead of the body. Let's have a look at Stefano Bellingheri from San Marino. How about his take on describing athletic balance?
What we need to do is remain still and push the knees in front, let the pelvis move back a little bit, and push the shoulders forward a little, and the shoulders should line with the knees and the bum with the heels. And this is the correct position. And from this position, you're completely unblocked. And from here, I can decide if I want to bend a little more or extend a little more, but I'll never go completely into full extension from this position.
So balance is a dynamic process, obviously. So athletic balance will give us the opportunity to manipulate the base of support in order to line it up with the center of mass in order to stay in balance in all situations. So that would be a description of level 1, level 2 for balance. If I go to the next slide over here, that we're going to add another layer. If you would talk about balance with level 3, level 4, we're going to talk on top of what we've been saying so far. We're going to talk about hinging the hip. The hinging point being at the hip will allow a neutral spine. If the spine is curved too much, it's dangerous for your disc when the skier is under load. So if we go a little bit deeper into this, the goal is to have a neutral pelvis. If you look on the right side of the screen, a neutral pelvis will allow you to have a full range of movement in any plane of balance where the leg connects with the pelvis. We're going to have a look at the extremes. If you have a pelvis that is in anterior tilt, this is going to create a hyperflex lower spine. And if you look on the bottom part of the screen here, it's also going to affect the alignment of your legs. Your knees are going to get towards the inside. So the aligning the pelvis will affect the alignment of your legs, but it's also going to affect the range of motion that the leg has into the hip socket. The other extreme would be posterior tilt of the pelvis. In this case, it's going to put the skier on a back position. So every skier, when they have posterior tilt in the pelvis, they'll have a tendency to flex the spine forward a lot in order to stay balanced. And this is creating a lot of tension into the hip area and limits the amount of range the skier has to edge the ski, to turn the ski vertically, also to deal with the pressure. Also, posterior tilt in the pelvis will disalign the legs, and you'll end up with a little bit of a bow-legged stance over here. So basically, if we come back to the ideal, the neutral pelvis will keep your legs tracking together and will keep your spine neutral. So the second element in the balance movement fundamentals would be access to all joints. Basically, the goal is to ski without restriction, without blockage, as naturally as possible. You want to have the most range of movement at any articulation. Everything's happening from the bottom up. And let's watch the video over here. It's from the US ski team. It talks about ankle flexion versus ankle tension. Let's have a look and we'll talk about it after the video.
The ankles connect the skier to the skis. In spite of the 3,000 sit-ups per day regime to strengthen the core, movement of the center mass relative to the skis is primarily achieved via the muscles of the ankles. With slalom's high demands and speed of movements, the ankles need to be constantly ready for action, because action never ceases. The ankles are in a flexed attitude, and the muscles that control flexion are in tension. This means that they are not just dorsiflexed, but flexed with tension. Flexed ankles are necessary, tension is mandatory. The coach can easily see flexed ankles with the athlete in the proverbial athletic stance. But muscle tension is hidden underneath the ski suit, disguised with the skin and camouflaged inside the plastic of the ski boot. Tension is in the muscles and cannot be seen. Just because an ankle is flexed does not mean the ankle musculature is in tension. Tension creates muscular innervation that prepares the ski racer for the very quick turns, tempo, and rhythm changes ahead. Constant and immediate innervation is needed because turns are faster than 1 turn per second. Add in a rhythm change and the need is amplified.
If we can maintain ankle flexion, we can be very quick with our edge-to-edge movements. You can have control of what's happening underneath your body through your ankle flexion. As soon as you lose ankle flexion or ankle tension, then you have a hard time controlling what the ski is doing. And if you have that ankle flexion, you're in charge of what is going on for that ski-snow contact in that relationship.
How can we teach this innervation? The push-me, pull-me drill is a great way to feel this ankle innervation. The goal for the ski racer in the push-me, pull-me drill is to stay perpendicular to the skis. To be successful, the ski racer will need to innervate or create tension in the ankle muscles prior to the coach pushing and pulling on their skis.
Super interesting video. And as you see, you can also adapt it. If you look at the push me, pull me drill that you saw at the end, if you're on a level 1 or level 2, you can just use this task in order to give an example to the skier that if the ankles are floppy, the balance is not there, versus if you are activating the muscles around the ankle to stabilize it, everything, the balance is going to be maintained. So basically the muscles we're talking about is anterior tibialis, upper gastroc, lower hamstring. We'll talk about that a little bit more into our on snow session. The last thing I want to talk to you about, I've talked with Norm Kurtz about this, and when he saw that video, he said, oh, watch out, it looks like the message we want to send is not that the ankle will always stay at the same angle. There will be a little bit of variation for sure, but by having the musculature engaged over around the ankle, it will help you to control the mobility in your ankle. You can activate those muscles by lifting the toes up. It's going to fire up those muscles and give you stability with the base of support with the ankle tension. So last fundamental in the balance movement fundamental, it's parallel skis. Super important. The width is staying the same, not changing. No diverging tip or diverging tails. Edge similarity, you don't want to have one ski at an angle more than the other, and ankle symmetry. For this one, if you do a squat, for example, if you want to be strong, you would have similar bend in both ankles. You wouldn't have one ankle bend more than the other. So this is something that we're going to look for when we're going to be working with you on snow. Let's have a look at the first video here. This is Ryu Takeda from Japan. Japan, they are changing their approach since the last interski, and their technical model is this skier over here. So you can see very, very precise parallel foundation in here and a good application of the principles we've been talking about so far. This is Ali Hunter from our interski team. Super good skiing. Very proud of you, Ali. Like, it's great to have you on the team. And honestly, Ali's going to be skiing with you at our on snow session this winter. Okay, one more fundamental with balance movements, managing friction. What's important to understand, as soon as I edge the ski, the edges penetrates the snow, and the outside foot will always have a tendency, because of the friction, to slow down relative to the inside foot. Also, we know that the size of the arc of the outside foot versus the inside foot is longer on the outside, so the outside needs to be a bit quicker, or else you'll end up with too much gap in here. And too much gap will kill your balance. The goal is to feel balance through the ski instead of crunching the front of the boot. So this is why I want to engage glute, hamstring in order to maintain foot placement, in order to make sure that the base of support is going to be aligned with the center of mass from start to finish. The goal of all this is to keep the forward motion of the ski and the skier and to feel more glide, basically. What you want is you want an edge that is gliding versus an edge that buries. If you bury the edge, it's because you let the friction open up your stance too much. Let's have a look at Takao Maruyama, a Japanese skier. You'll see the first 3-4 turns he's going to do. He's going to really exaggerate the compensation of the friction by moving his feet forward. But you'll see after that, you don't see the feet moving that much in the video, but there's definitely a game of being observer versus what you're feeling. You're feeling you're active far enough with the base, but the observer just see a base that doesn't move too much. This is the thing. If you compensate the friction well, it doesn't look like your base is that mobile on the far enough. So have a look at this. So there you go. Bit of exaggeration here of the compensation. And in all those turns, this is in New Zealand, the snow is soft. There's a lot of friction happening and really good friction management with the skier in order to keep the ski gliding. Due to muscular effort, everything starts at the foot by rolling the foot onto the edge. Let's have a look at Norm Kreutz.
When it is done properly, edging actually... Muscular action pronates the foot inside the boot to start the edging process. Following the involved...
Thank you, Norm. That was amazing. So basically, the action of pronating the outside foot is also gonna be affected by the adduction of your leg. If you look in the dictionary, adduction, the definition is guiding the extremities of your body, your feet, towards the center line. Let's have a look at another video over here that will share this principle. This is Daisuke Yoshioka from Japan. On the left side, is the motion, the movement of the skier that, and on the right side, it's what it looks like. So if you look over here, this is adduction of the outside leg on an arc. This is a bit of a longer short turn, so you can see the relationship between the pelvis and base. There's a little bit less separation versus this turn. There's a little bit more separation going on with this one. This is abducting of the inside leg, so moving the inside leg away from the center of the body. And this is some of the best short turn I've seen over the last few years. This is our technical model for short turn. Amazing skiing from Daisuke Yoshioka from Japan. Very rhythmical, parallel foundation. This is impressive skiing. Okay, so the ski design for sure is going to help, because of the side cut and when the ski bends, it wants to come back underneath you. But when you are doing some slow skiing and very, very round turns, like the ones I'm going to show you right now, well, you're going to need a little bit more muscular effort to make the turn happen. This is Ryu Takeda from Japan. If you look at how round those turns are over here, very powerful, very precise with foot placement and adduction and abduction of the inside leg. So basically, just to sum this slide up, the base of support and center of mass above the fall line, they are on a diverging path. And what you want after the fall line, you want the base and the mass to be on converging path. So you do that by using adduction in order to bring the outside foot underneath the center line of the body. More on that in our on snow sessions. All right, so fundamental for rotary and edging movement. Let's talk about separation, angulation. I'm going to show you a video from Stefano Bellinghiri. There's a lot of talk about being square right now in the world. So let's have a look at what he has to say, and we'll discuss about the CSIA position right after the video.
Start by defining the first fundamental. The first fundamental is called follow your skis. So staying square with your skis and staying aligned with your skis. And where does this come from? It comes from a joint block. And the block is when we put our body into torsion, the body tends to block itself. If I twist my body against the direction of my feet, the femur in respect to the tibia gets blocked, and the knee cannot move inside, and you can't incline the knees and ankles into the turn. If I keep my body facing with my skis, for example, I find it much easier to incline my ankles and knees inside the turn.
Okay, so here's CSIA position about separation. Separation is relevant to turn shape and speed. If you go back to the video of Stefano Bellinghiri and you pause him above the fall line, you'll see there is separation in there. There's a bit less separation above the fall line, and there's a bit more separation after the fall line, depending on how much load the skier is dealing with. This is important. Maybe in the past at interski, yes, we've been judged opening, having a little bit too much separation at the top of the turn. This is something we'll address, but this is where we stand regarding separation. Now, let's talk about angulation. Let's see what Stefano Bellinghiri has to say about angulation, and then we discuss it together.
So, how do I do this? When I'm inclining, I let the ankles and knees move in, I let the hip move to the inside a little, but I try and leave the zipper of the jacket straight, so I don't angulate to the right or tip into the left, because to the left I'll lose my balance and to the right I'll create a block. So I move into the turn just remaining aligned with the zipper, with the shoulders, keeping the shoulders somewhat parallel. And like this I'll have a lot of weight on my outside ski without using much energy, and I don't have the need to put my shoulder over.
Okay, remember at the start of the presentation, we were talking about keeping the spine neutral. Well, the same principle applies when it comes to angulation. You want to watch out not to angulate by curving your spine sideways. So this is a very interesting concept that Stefano is talking about. The angulation is happening with the lower body, but the upper body is remaining, the spine is remaining neutral, and this is for safety. So here's Stefano again about the concept.
The third concept is to keep the torso stable, which allows us to move a little bit inside. So the legs incline, but the torso doesn't change its relationship of inclination or angulation.
All right, there you go. Next topic. Okay, we're going to talk about pressure movements fundamentals. One of the most important concepts of our presentation is the concept of receiving pressure. Balance against an edge creates pressure. We want to align the body to receive the pressure instead of physically pressing on the outside ski. We're going to have a bit of a discussion here with Jonathan Beaulieu that is describing the concept.
This is where it's being felt from. And we want to move with that force, not against it, not pushing against it. We want to align ourselves to receive this force so we can manipulate it, use it, and go with it as opposed to go against it. And I see this perspective is really key, because if we understand the force is coming from the snow to us to move us from arc to arc, we set ourselves up in an alignment to receive force versus an alignment to create and push. And that creates really different outcomes. The alignment to receive creates this nimble, resilient, mobile, and strong posture that you can do a lot of things from, and for, frankly, less effort. The latter creates the idea of push. I'm going to drive, I'm going to push hard, creates this really aggressive and confrontational body posture. The former, the receiving idea, kind of as the Austrians say, it creates or encourages a conversation with the mountain, where this more I'm going to drive the ski might create more of an argument. And yeah, I think we would like to get the former. This is where it's being felt from. And we want to move. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some fundamentals of how you align your body to get pushed, or how you set your body up to receive force. Think of like if you're doing a squat, right? When you do a squat, you're not trying to create a bunch of power, because the weight does that for you. What you're trying to do is set yourself up to have a strong spine, strong core, glute engagement, posterior chain engagement, muscles around the feet and the ankles, the tib anterior, shoulder blades, all that stuff gets engaged. And you need to do that before the weight comes on, because you're setting yourself up to receive the bar on your back. And then from there, you can move with it. You set yourself up to push on it, it's quite different. You're going to end up with some very different muscle groups working. So skiing is not that dissimilar. We need to set ourselves up as just as we would walking up to a squat bar to receive the force that's going to happen from the snow. Now, it's a little different than squat bar, because the force isn't coming from your shoulders, it's coming from your feet. But we still need, what we need is two, in my opinion, two core areas of stability. These things don't move a lot. This is really important. These two things that we're going to get into, they don't move a lot. They are supposed to be stable, not static, but stable. Okay. first thing here is the use of the ski boot interface to receive force to the body. If you want to receive force through the ski well, the snow pushes on the ski transfers the force through your boot to your body. That interface needs to be stable, okay? It's not about moving, it's not about opening and closing the ankle, it's not about coming off the cuff of the boot or pushing on the back or driving into the front of the boot to bend it. It's about staying connected. It's about having the foot firmly planted in the ground, not having the heel up, not having the toes up, but having the whole foot down in the heel pocket. Front shin muscle, the anterior tibialis, the little triangular muscle in the front of your shin, that sucker is engaged, as is all the other muscles that go around it, to keep the structure of the inherently mobile ankle joint strong and engaged with the boot, so that the force coming through the ski gets transferred through the boot to your body. That is your immediate receptor. If you don't have that, nothing else happens. You can't control the skis without controlling the boot. You can't control the boot without being in contact with the key parts of it. It's the bottom, it's the front, that's really the whole cuff, but there's more on the front than there's the back. Okay?
Jonathan, we've got a question. Can I?
Yeah.
Okay, so super interesting stuff from Jonathan. A lot more information on snow at our course conductor training coming soon about that. The other aspect to this concept is the way that we're releasing the pressure. And the key for this part is to maintain balance on the old outside ski while releasing the edges to allow the momentum of the skiers to flow towards the next arc. Here's the description of Michaela Schifrin, coach, that is talking to another athlete about this concept. I want you to notice when the coaches talk to the athlete, look how he moves his hands. There's a lot of adduction in what he's describing. Also talks a lot about like foot placement. So have a look at this.
Me out. My outside ski takes me to my next outside ski. If I really want to link and have that fluidity and connection to turn, I need to stay with that outside ski. I'm not turning, but it's taking me to where I need to be. Outside ski to outside ski is fast skiing. It's connected, it's linked. Yeah. There's no interruption in flow. It's one turn to the next.
So basically, yes, this is an advanced concept, but I'm going to put it to you in the simplest way possible. How will we adapt this on a level 1? What the coach is talking about is basically not releasing the energy all of a sudden. If you do that, you'll end up rising the mass and then falling inside the other turn. You just want to conserve the energy and make sure that you're releasing very, very progressively in order to have the mass and base deflecting. So in the simplest way is how to link turns, how to conserve energy from turn to turn. Here's another video for you.
Points on this diagram where the force is smaller here and it's largest here. That's always the case. It's never the largest in the middle. It's always right below the fall line. It's really easy to get stuff in the bottom part of this. It's really easy to get stuff down here in the bottom part of this. It's really hard and almost to get stuff here. It's impossible to get force here. But the key is great skiers get force in this area where those 3 lines are. They don't leave it down here because that's super easy. They don't try to create more than is going to happen up here. They align themselves to receive force early, which means they align before the force happens, so that when the force starts to come on in this upper part, they can maximize every second of it, so that they can not push on the ski or drive the ski or bury the ski at the bottom, but begin a release process that lets the ski glide. And in doing so, by setting us up for alignment, we keep the ski gliding at all times, even when it's up.
All right, a lot more description on snow with this concept.
Okay, so that's how we receive the force.
Okay, let's move to coordination movement fundamentals. We're going to talk about steering versatility. Steering is a combination of all our skills. There's different type of steering. You can carve, you can steer, you can skid. Sometimes you're going to have to do a combination of those at different parts of the turn. What we are working on, let's say for level 3 and level 4 with our guys, they need to master the ability to tighten the arc, the ability to turn the ski on a shorter radius versus the radius that is written on the ski. In order to achieve this, they're going to use the swinging principle. In tennis or golf, the way that you describe a swing is usually it's a slow to fast action. So in skiing is very similar. If you want to generate a swing or want to generate some deflection, you will accelerate the rate at which you're increasing the edge at the fall line in order to get a reaction that's going to throw you across the fall line. Again, sounds very, very technical. How do I adapt this on a level 1? If you ask a level 1 to do a hockey stop, he will need to accelerate the way he's increasing the edges, and he's going to use this concept. Here's another video talking about this. In fact, those are, to me, some of the best skiing I've seen into the last year. Some of my favorite skiers, international skier. There's a lot of technical model material in there that we can benchmark ourselves with. This is Nana Nagaya from Japan. She won the technical championship for the last 3 seasons in Japan. Incredible skier that is applying the principle that we've been discussing in this presentation beautifully. This is our technical model for the long turn. Very, very clean skiing, the right amount of separation, good alignment, good rhythm. This is Amelia Smart from the national ski team, Canadian national ski team, Steve Smart's daughter. On a GS ski. And this is Ryu Takeda from Japan, who won the Japanese Technical Championship for the last 3 seasons also. Japanese, they went through a big transformation in their system. This is Ryu Takeda again. There's a lot of work that has been done in Japan with the fundamentals. Like, look at the amount of trainers that are training. Like, they've been doing that for weeks. In the last 4 years, they put a lot of work using fundamentals. And we'll do that too at our on snow session. Here is our first coordination movement fundamental. Use of the poles. Who is better than Norm Kurtz to talk about use of the poles?
You know, the arms and pole plant, they play a big part in our skills concept when it comes to balance. Something that we think of with the arms is that I think of my hands and my arms being in a position to help me balance, like I'm walking on a tightrope. Width of hands, I think of my pole. This is how long my pole is, and my hands are about the same width apart as my pole is long. So I think of that as I'm going along. You notice here, my hands are out in front. My elbows are also what I would say are in front of the chest in this position. Now my hands are in a good position to apply the pole plant. Now when I do the pole plant, I think of the basket of my pole coming underneath my hand and presenting the pole basket to the snow in such a fashion that it gets touched on the longer turns, it really gets planted on the shorter turns to help stabilize the upper body. This provides us with a wide base of support as we go along. So when that pole is planted, my base of support is all the way from the pole to my inside ski, which has a tiny little bit of weight on it. Now, when we plant the pole, I think of my previous turn. So if I think of here, the leg that's in behind me here as my previous turn, as that comes around in this fashion in here, I think of my pole basket traveling at the same speed as that outside ski so that it's ready to be planted all the time. We don't want to leave the hand back here and make a quick move. We want to try to make a hand come around with the pole, touch the pole in the snow, and we're in a good position to start into our next turn. So think about the hands, think about the arms, elbows in front of the chest, hands are as wide as your pole is long, and think about the timing of your pole plant helping with the rhythm of your turns.
Thank you, Norm. I have to say a big thank to Norm, like he's been very, very involved, and also the tech in this presentation. Thank you guys for your help. Okay, so we're adding the transition into our milestone of a turn. I just want to share with you some videos that we're going to talk about on snow, about the transition. This is a good summary of what we've been talking about together so far.
Alignment to the outside ski and ankle symmetry. So, got a thing here. This is Alexei Pontero a few years ago, and we can see that if we look here, right up in here, look at this frame right here that I'm drawing on, you can kind of see that. He is already starting to align the body to this new ski. In this case, it's his left ski as he's about to make a right turn around the ski. You can see that that ski is being positioned under his body. He's not moving up the hill to get to it, and there's not much weight on the ski, but he's got the sucker underneath him so that as soon as it achieves edge, he's already aligned to it. There's not a lot of pressure there, but he is aligned to it so that when the pressure comes on down here, which is still really quite high in the turn, he doesn't have to make any adjustments. You can see that by the path of the body through here. There's no gross movements of the body to align to the ski. He's already there. In fact, if we look at it from this top picture here, and we look at the path of the body all the way through, there are not a lot of gross movements to correct. He didn't incline a lot and then have to come back out. He got himself set up on this new left foot ski, prior to it having pressure. And not by moving out of the line, not by pushing on it, just by aligning to where his body needs to be relative to the ski to receive force. And then he can align the ski underneath him to create and receive the force. And obviously we can look and see, okay, we've got in every frame here, we have symmetry of angles. We don't see the boot being crushed or bent more. We just see it fitting well and the body aligning at all phases, both ankles symmetrically against it. No extra movement this way, no extra movement that way, no extra movement that way. All right, it's just aligned. We're talking about edge change, lead change, and counter. I talked about edge change before lead change, and I talked about edge change under the body and how it relates to counter. Here we go. Let's take a look at this one. This one's pretty straightforward. All right. When we look at this person who is, I'm not sure who this is. Sweet. From my library. We have the skis. Here's the body, right? Whoop. There. Here's the skis down here. They're under the body. This body's not way up the hill. That would interfere with both the edge change and the ability to not move up to the alignment to the outside ski. As we move from here to here, skis kind of go in a straight line, body goes in a straight line, and they are still roughly under the body as we've changed. There's no big huck movement. It's a subtle movement. As we can see, it came much more from the feet and ankles over a big movement of the torso. And we can see that because the torsos look very, very similar. Torso, hand position, hip position looks very similar from the end of the old turn to the beginning of the new turn, which shows that we have this controlled movement of edge change from the feet and legs, not from the body. The body's included, but it comes after and goes with that. You set it up first. This is all part of that setup. Okay? Here's another piece to that. Look at the position of the skis. This uphill ski is slight, this one here, that guy here, I'll get rid of the pictures. This ski here is a little ahead of that one there. When we look here, we've gone through an edge change and we still don't see an advancing inside ski yet. This ski is not advanced of this ski. The outside, the new outside ski, old inside ski, has a very similar placing on the snow to 2 feet. Now, if we looked at it one frame earlier, which I don't have right here, you'd see the same lead change. So we start to see it neutralize here. But what's key is we have not yet seen an advanced inside ski, which you shouldn't have much of that in your skiing. It should be, but there's always going to be some because of how the body lined. Okay, and then we get down here, you can kind of see it. You can see that the inside half of the body, the inside shin, inside hip, and inside foot, inside ankle are ahead of the outside. We are setting up to receive force, not to push, not to drive. And the time to set up for force is when you're gliding the most and you have the least power on the skis. You don't set your body up, using the squat rack analogy, you don't set your body to lift the weight or to push the weight after the weight's already pushing on you. You set it before you pull the weight off the bar. If you're going to do a bicep curl, whatever it is, you tense and engage the things before the weight's there. So when the weight's there, your body is prepped and ready for it. You can manipulate whatever you need to do with that weight. And skiing is the same thing. The period of time where you have the least pushing on you, there's still some, but you're the least pushing on you, is when the skis are releasing to engaging. So it's when they go from the old edges to the flat to the new edges, or from the old edges to the flat. That period of time has the least force. So that's really your opportunity to align your body well to receive force. And we're going to look at a couple elements. This is not a comprehensive list. We don't have time for that. But these are two really core areas to look at, and there's two in each of these. So 2 areas in control of the equipment and 2 areas in control of the body. Okay, there are things you can feel, there are things you can see, there are things you can coach yourself to, and there are things that you can coach other people to, depending on where you are in this wonderful industry of skiing. Okay, oh, they all popped up. I thought they were going to pop up in pairs. We have control of equipment. Take a look at that first. Alignment to the outside ski before edge change. We're going to get into that in a second. Notice I said alignment to the outside ski before edge change, not weight shift before edge change. Those are very different things. Weight shift means I'm going to push from one to the other, where alignment is about setting up to receive. And I can set up alignment to the new outside ski while I'm on my old edges, or as I release, without moving uphill and moving outside of the line of travel or pushing weight on. I can align that way, right? So that's a thought process of a more passive, more graceful, more receiving force mentality.
Replay back the last 30 seconds. This is huge. This is so important. This is the core of what we want to bring on snow at course conductor training.
That will get paired with ankle symmetry. We already talked about that, but we're going to look at it again. The next one is edge change under the body and prior to lead change. Meaning, you always have one ski ahead of the other. Inside ski is always a little ahead of the outside ski for the most part. Well, as we move through transition, I'd like to see the edges change prior to the lead changing, because that, if we control the equipment that way, it prompts the body to maintain that. And that goes to maintenance of counter and separation for the alpine basic position through that unloaded period of time. So we don't do a whole bunch of extra moving at that period of time, but whatever the posture we've created through building of the position through the finish of the last turn, we maintain into the new turn. And these two things fit together. Okay. Something to look at there is when I say edge change under the body, it is in contradiction to say, chuck the body down the hill to change the edges. These are all very controlled movements versus big movements. And it speaks to
Okay, so here's a bit of priming for our on snow sessions. I'm just going to show you the next 2 slides. I don't want to talk about it. We will discuss it on snow. I'm just putting the concept we've talked about together into our parts of the turn. So after the fall line, transition, can have a look at those, and above the fall line and at the fall line. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to seeing you soon on snow, and take care. Bye-bye.